Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 522, and today we're doing battle with Janna, Elder Dragon. And so, here at the beginning of the Fates Voyage Beyond, we've hit on a few of the different Elder Dragon types of strategies, right? We've gone into Elites, which doesn't really need much help outside of Demacia or the Elites keywords, but adding in a single copy of Elder Dragon does let you key off some of the bigger Demacian plays like Jarvan or the Elite Scout unit. We touched on the previous video moving into Bandle City and having that kind of Jin Bandle City condensed style of deck to where the Elder Dragon is in there so that we get access to Lord Broadmane and Riptide Rex. And today we're doing a similar thing to where we're going to be getting advantages from Asilla and Wizened Helmsman and taking advantage of the boons that the Elder Dragon generates. And so, if you're not familiar with the boons from the Elder Dragon, the big thing that we're trying to key off of today is going to be Elemental. And so all of the boons coming from the Elder Dragon do count as elemental abilities, which ties in quite nicely with, I call it Escalia. It's stuck in my head as Escalia, that's what it's going to be. But Iasilla, figurehead of the deep, comes in and creates additional copies of elemental spells and skills. And so with the Elder Dragon in our deck, as we play the Escalia, it's going to come onto board, generate the elemental boon, and then copy it because it's an elemental unit. That then ties into some of the other synergies that we have going on. It cheapens up the Elder Dragon since we're getting multiple boons. All of our future units with Escalia on board are going to generate additional boons, and then it also ties into cards like Galesong Flock. And so as we play all of these elemental skills and abilities, the flock is going to grow and grow and grow and grow, eventually generate us a pretty gigantic unit. Also tying into this idea of using elementals, we have the Wizened Helmsman, the elephant friend coming back to battle from his days of hanging out with Nyla and Janna, and he provides a very similar effect. We can play him, he generates that elemental skill from the boons, and then he gets to play two other elementals that two other elemental spells that we've already played this game, which is typically either two removal spells or a removal spell and a card draw spell. And so we do have the kind of full complement of elemental removal in here. There's the Divine Draft, the Howling Gale, and then the Divine Whirlwind in terms of being able to remove the opposing units. And then we have the little bit of card draw that you get out of elementals in the Eye of the Storm and the Galesong Flock. Otherwise, all this deck has going for it, it's really just trying to not die. And so we've got this handful of Mystic Shots and Rocket Barrages as removal spells, Mariam and Octo Adventure to shore up the early game, and then Seraphine is here, not to flip. Seraphine is here as a 1/4 blocker in the early game that also generates a spell. In the course of my games, I've got her, kind of close to flipping. It's not off the table, as we do come out to start and say cast Wiggly Burblefish and generate Galesong Calls, but it's not what we're here to do. We are not here to flip Seraphine. We are a Janna-based deck that has Seraphine in it. The thing that I would like to speak to before we really roll in is, as we do see these different flavors of the Elder Dragon decks turn up, it's kind of a viewpoint at which each of these do well. And so there is the Freylord version. That's been the most popular deck right out the gates, but that is the kind of highest risk, high reward version, right? If you've played any ladder against the Freylord version of Elder Dragon, you tend to find if you just play a curve, you win the game, right? And so, like, if your game plan is capable of dealing 20 points of damage by turn 7 through a single 2/2, an avalanche, and then one gigantic unit, you're going to win the game. And so the upside to playing that version of Ramp, though, is if you are playing against slower decks like what we have here, the Bandle City version of Elder Dragon, decks like Mordekaiser, they all are just like so super slow. They don't do enough to stop the Elder Dragon from popping off, and it tends to have fantastic matches against all of those. But as we look at decks like the PNZ version here and the Bandle City version, having a big pile of removal spells and actually having a little bit of early game interactivity does give this much more game against something like Gwen's Zed, which the Freylord version just cannot beat. And so as you are out here choosing a Elder Dragon deck of choice, you have a couple of questions to ask. Do I just want to come out here and do cool stuff? That's what we're going to be doing out here with Thalia and the Elementals theme. But you have to also ask yourself, what portion of the meta do you want to be good against, right? Because the Freylord version is incredibly bad against the slower halves, and then the decks like this tend to be much worse against the other slower decks of the format. We can still hold our own against non-Elder Dragon based decks, but we do certainly suffer against some of the slower decks of the day. And so battle with today, but before the battles begin, you know what we got to do. We got to go and turn something premium, and today it's going to be the Elemental Bird, the Gale Song Call, getting a little bit of premium treatment. See if we can't cast it on turn 1, get a nice trade, cast it on turn 7 off of a Wizened Helmsman, and have a nice little friend running in that way. Oh, got to get out of Eternal Casual, then practicing a little bit for the CDS matches today. But here we go, back into the queues. And no, one of the things I wanted to say was kind of interesting with the PNZ version is we do kind of have a little bit of ramp in here, right? And so we have the updrafts coming out of Mariam, we have the updraft coming out of Janna, the updraft coming out of Sunken Temple, the cost reduction from cards you drew within a turn with Janna as well. And so you do have this kind of ramp aspect to the deck to where we come in and play Janna on turn 4, and then we high roll a 6-drop on turn 5. We're able to get kind of off to the races in terms of popping off with our units. And so, very interesting how it can turn out that way. But as far as this start goes, I'm fine enough to start with our early gameplay in Mariam, and then we also have the Octo Adventurer. Typically not amped about hanging on to Octo Adventurers, but we are up against Norra, and so we have a bit of potential for it to be relevant here in the early game. Now, I do want to start to pop off here a little bit. I think we can take this damage. Like, this isn't a deck that really concerns me in terms of being able to kill us quickly, but this is big. Like, the thing that I was kind of thinking of here is like, all right, well, we can probably just cycle away the Octo Adventurer since we're going to have the Mystic Shot for a Norra on turn 3. But now that he's pranked up the Mystic Shot, we're going to have to take that a little bit slower. And so updraft target here with the Burblefish is fine. One of the things you do have to watch yourself with these updrafts is it's very easy to updraft away all of your expensive stuff and then not draw it back. And so I have had some problems with these games where it's like, oh, cool, I've got a Mariam and a 6-drop. Let's go ahead and updraft that away. And then we hit on Janna on turn 4 and send away 2 more expensive plays, and then turn 6 rolls around and we're like, uh-oh, I drew Mystic Shot, Gale Song Call, and another removal spell, and then the next turn a removal spell, and then the next turn a removal spell, and it's like, I would do anything for a 7-drop at this point, but nothing is turning up. And so we'll see. Getting rid of the Burblefish is fairly easy here, and this is still turning out pretty okay. Oh shit, this guy can't block. I didn't even bother to read whatever whatever he chose. I saw the Mystic Shot hit and I was like, oh, okay, we're done with these cards. I don't have to pay attention to this anymore. And then the Octo Adventurer clearly clearly not ready for battle. Whoops. A little bit of a whoops. Alright, well, we can spend a little bit of mana here. Well, let's attack with Mariam first. We'll follow up with the Gale Song Call just to get it out of our hand and cast, but I do want to take a 3-bank into next turn and try and cast Sunken Temple. Discard Broadmane and discard Gale Song Call. Okay. Guess, is he actually playing these spells? These discard cards are just so bad. I don't think we want to cast any more of these. Like, I see a touch of argument for trying to stop the Kelp Maidens, but as long as I get a Sunken Temple on board, I just don't care. I just don't care whatsoever. And so it's like if he's going to open with the thing, then we still have the chance before he casts the prank. This is all fine. Sunken Temple it is. Probably could have paused on that play a little bit. He's attacking 100% of the time, so we had a bit of time to get out of this, but this is okay. I don't care about the portal from Norra. He's nowhere near flipping her, and so let's just cycle all of these cards away and try and hope that we hit another big play like our Lord Broadmane on this upcoming turn. Broadmane it is. Helmsman turns up as well. He's a little too expensive. Not bad. Let's just start to pop off with the Broadmane. So what do we got here? Definitely like picking up Deathless. It should be pretty tough for the opponent to actually kill our Broadmane, but as he has the chance to play his own Broadmanes, he is at a bit of risk, and so very tough to come in and actually like pokey stick down. I almost called it pokey shot, pie sauce or pokey stick or whatever. Very easy for those to work in conjunction with the broad main, but without the broad main, they don't really do anything. Oh, we're gonna give a +2/+1, huh? Sure. I think we're good to play the blunder at this point. It is possible for the opponent to get a little bit out of hand in terms of popping off with these elusives, and so we'll swing in a little bit, see if we can't get something happening, and then prevent the Kelp Maidens next turn. So just seeing this Octo Adventurer down here, I had such high expectations for him to actually do something, and just has not. So who do we got now? What is gonna turn up? So far, not great. Scalia turning up at the end along with Eye of the Storm's kind of okay, but not ideal in the least. So let's get Seraphine on board. She's going to be a fairly effective blocker for the round. Not the worst in more powder. We could probably find a way to make use out of it. Oh my god, we're going to get domed. Sure. I don't think we're dead, though. I kind of want to play the more powder. We have these 2 rocket barrages, and if we can actually manage to pick one up, it's going to be pretty good out here. So we'll go ahead and cast the more powder and see if it doesn't turn up. I could kind of see an argument for playing a Sunken Temple, since just getting a shot at the extra card draws might be more important than actually hitting, but I think this is okay. We are just so far behind on this stuff. So I'm looking to play Janna, and then we're going to use the other Janna to draw 2, and then we'll see where that gets us. Just cast it on this can't block guy. Why not? He can attack. So we're gonna lose a Gale Song Flock. It's okay. Let's pull it back. Like, as it stands, it's pretty tough for us to ever come in and block anything that he's doing. I'm leaning towards just adding in the Burblefish and then erasing the Powder Keg. Just not doing enough here. Skip is out. Burblefish is back. Burblefish is gone. Dang. Divine Draft would have been pretty decent this turn if we had that 1 point of mana left. Gotta pick up some fast speed burn to try and get out of this. Might have done something. These are Howling Gales and not the appropriate speed that we need. There's Divine Whirlwind, and then we need to pick up a. We need to pick up a Mystic Shot or something. There's the Rocket Barrage. Day late and $1 short. This is what it is. But man, here's all I can really think about with that match is What if he was actually playing real cards, right? The discard in that game did literally nothing. He spent like 8 mana to do literally nothing. It was just, we got zinged over and over and over again just by other stuff. Just not being able to time anything at just the right moment, getting our removal spells blown up by the combat trick and stuff. I feel like if I knew what we were getting into, like if I'd been able to flip the switch and be like, oh, this is some kind of shitty elusive deck, I think I would have been able to handle that a little bit better. I still had in my head that we were playing against that we're playing against like a Lord Broadmane deck, and I thought that we were going to have a lot more time with what was happening there. So up to the next one though, Mordekaiser and Morgana, sure thing. We'll just take a mulligan. I want to find sunken temples mainly here. Jannas are fine as well, just things that let us do our big and powerful things, because they're not going to be able to kill us quickly. That's the kind of mindset we had in the previous game, right? That previous game is very odd. I don't know at what point I was supposed to realize, like maybe it was when he played the prank guy. That's when we should have been like, oh, this isn't a normal Norra deck, right? This is some kind of weird elusive thing, and could have picked up on it from there.
Janna, I answer.
All right, though. Omar Yam coming on board. Get our own aggros in, you know? Boom. So this should be fine. Like, their plays don't strike me as too big here. Things like Lily and Dolly, Legion of the Severed is the next one I was going to talk about. It gets popped by Mystic Shot. So I feel like we should pretty safely be able to roll into our Janna turn. Now, having Janna survive this next turn might be a different story. I'm not certain what kind of removal this deck plays. Like, anytime I see Shadow Isles, I'm just like, oh, my unit's going to get hit with Calling Strike. But that might not quite be the case here. So this might be the wrong order. Like, it's kind of a chicken and the egg spot here, right? We could look to Divine Draft off of these two smaller units, so if he has kill a unit, deal 5 to something, then these things are taken care of, right? But the flip side to that is the Divine Draft plays fantastically with Lord Broadmane, and so I do kind of like keeping these back as a way to take advantage of him, because like these icons and smaller units aren't that important. Realistically, Janna isn't that important, but the thing that opponent also has to worry about is if he's going to Death Grasp off of a unit, we might be able to kill it in response, right? That's why you saw him cast it off of the 1/4 instead of off of the Prey, so that he got to play around Mystic Shots and play around our damage-based removals. But still reasonably okay. Do we want to actually pop the Galesong Flock here? I kind of like it. We don't have anything else to do, and as we come to the turns to where we're actually able to play the Elephant, having the Flock already cast is pretty useful, right? Because at what point are you going to have 5 mana to cast this later on in the game? You know, on your Elephant turn, you can do it on turn 10, right? So there's our boy. He's a little short on he's a little short on the elementals at this point, but he should still be okay. Now Temple turns up. Interesting. It's always interesting when you have the Broadmane and the Divine Draft in hand. Could look to Sunken Temple, but I have to imagine next turn he's just going to try and play Mordekaiser. And while these aren't fantastically strong Mordekaiser targets, I would like to have Broadmane on board before he hits. So now it's like if he has to just cast a Vengeance onto Broadmane, it still feels like kind of a win of a turn for us. Our friend is still going to be on board if he had the Vengeance. he didn't use it. How bad is this nonsense? Probably need to put our Broadmane in front of the thing out here. So the important unit for us to actually kill is going to be the Spectral Ironhound, right? That's the one that, as he plays his Mordekaiser next turn, he wants to hit the Ironhound so it generates an additional Deathwinder. So it sucks a little bit to take that big chunk of damage, but I think in terms of opponent's game plan, we got the unit we wanted to get. Now we do have Rocket Barrage along with Divine Draft. I mean, if he plays Mordekaiser, we're going to get the chance to pop off. Can we ever just pass here? I think so. I'm not opposed to just gaining a bunch of mana and going into the next turn. Alright, so we can't Mordekaiser us anymore. That's fine. That's a reasonable enough place to stop. Let's keep our mana banked up for next turn, though. What you got? He's bringing in the hate spike? Sure thing. Let's just go ahead and try and get this dum-dum off the board. I know it's not like the highest quality unit for Mordekaiser next turn, but if Mordekaiser is the only unit that we have to deal with, then this is going to feel pretty decent. Get our attack in, huh? Send that Galeswang Swallow right into the mix. Ooh, Elder Dragon, you're going to be castable. Very easy to cast the Elder Dragon in this deck since you have... since you have so much access to the boons with the Escalia. We haven't drawn Escalia this game, but there's a thing there. Let's see what happens. He's just gonna play Mordekaiser and hook a Galesong Swallow. I don't care. Like he has to have something lined up with this pass here. It feels like a pass is much better for us than it is for him. And so let's just get a non-unit on the board and say, all right, play your Mordekaiser, hook our Swallow, do whatever it is. I ain't scared. And if you're not familiar with the Sunken Temple and the curses, you can't target curses, right? So you can't discard a curse to rummage, you can't... physically interact with it in your hand, but that's targeting the curse itself. Cards like Sunken Temple target your hand, and so with it targeting your hand, your whole hand will go away, and then the thing gets to come on board after that, or the effect gets to happen after that. All right, Mordekaiser doing the work. How many deaths have you seen? 11 of 15. All right, we'll just keep this mana banked up and roll into the next round. No broad mains, that's a touch of a bummer. Seraphine, this is what I'm talking about with Seraphine being able to flip. It's not completely off the table. I think I just want to go for the heal here. We just need a little bit more time. There is a chance that Mordekaiser can come in here and just pop off. Now we're going to be looking to Howling Gale, Divine Whirlwind to get him off of the board. Alright, still send 8 to the Nugget. Now the fresh question is, do we want to cast Mariam and then updraft something, or do we want to just... Right, we can updraft something for 3 mana, then cast the Howling Gale. I don't think this is a spot for that. He's not doing anything aggressive. He can't replay a Mordekaiser now, he's too low on mana. So we'll just cast the spell and take the free extra draw from the Sunken Temple next turn. We're getting there, though. Stuff's happening. Stuff is happening, for certain. Burblefish time.
One candle for every soul.
That's a deathless rekindler. Alright, well I'm just gonna put our worst unit on the board for now. Can't take the blunder. If he starts playing cards, we can keep him from getting Challenger on Mordekaiser. Then we're gonna look to come in with these elusives. It's a lot of Mordekaiser. It's Kaizen time. Are we just dead now? There's a non-zero chance. How much damage is this stuff? He gets one hook with Mordekaiser. So we got like 5, 8. I guess it's gonna come. A lot of it comes down to if he's gonna be able to kill a unit before he attacks. Counting on you, Burblefish. He did. That's a bummer. I wonder if we should have just kept the Mordekaiser alive, right? Like, I've gotten blown out by the Rekindler like 2 or 3 times here recently. And maybe that's something that should have just been on the radar, is being like, well, you just have to kind of deal with this Mordekaiser. Like, he should eventually be able to just kill him off on his own, I think, but... It's like, I worry if we just keep playing Burblefish, we're not going to be able to actually kill him with anything. Alright, let's be real, this one's just done at this point. Alright, GG. Ooh. But see, that's what I'm talking about, is that as you look at a deck like the Freylord version, the Freylord version is able to just keep putting like giant unit, giant unit, giant unit on the board, but it has no answers to any kind of aggression. Like, seeing the opponent be able to go bigger than us is a little bit painful. Elites is pretty painful as well. A lot of it kind of depends on their early draw, but all of our removal is pretty bad against what they're doing. Like, you can't rocket barrage down a bunch of elites. You tend to not be able to mystic shot much of them, and so it's tough. It's tough. See if he's got that early play to boost the Ram Hound. Not yet. Alright, well, I'm leaning towards just sending away Broadmane. We already have this kind of combo here, right, to where we can potentially, like, Broadmane and AoE. It's just going to be a matter of getting that far along. Now, I did go ahead and do the spell mana one. I wanted to get Mariam on the board, and then there's a very real chance that we're going to need to just rocket barrage this turn. So, that's fine. Very odd not having plays this fast. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's regardless of us being able to zing the birds right there. Anytime you're playing against elites and they have no 2 and no 3, something has gone incredibly wrong. So that's how you steal a victory. We're not getting out of here with 0 losses today. All right, what do we got now? Neeko Freylord. Got to see if we can't top off against Warden of the Tribes. Alright, reasonable enough start. I'm not even convinced that Seraphine's going to be that spectacular here. She's going to come down and block an Omen Hawk and call it a day. Alright, aggro's coming in. go. I'll do it for you. Make things happen faster. I'll just drag the Omen Hawk forward for you. It's probably at work taking a dump. Somebody starts knocking on the stall next to him. Says, "Oh man, Norra Motomami, I need a square." I need a square. But let's see. Let's go ahead and send away an Escalia. Now that we have two of them, you can feel a little bit safer about not having him hanging out in your hand. If we can get a chance to clear out some board, I'll take it. This is looking like a... I was worried that we were going to play against this Neeko deck and then not be able to actually kill any of his units, right? If you want to curve, like, Dog into the Fae generator and stuff, you don't get a lot of opportunity to kill these things, but if he's just going to come out here and play 1 health units, we got a shot to take this stuff down.
Your wickedness shall not prosper.
Interesting. Well, it's an interesting space here between Mariam and Seraphine. Seraphine coming on board gives us the high note on the flip, but like our hand doesn't really do anything otherwise. I don't think Mystic Shot's gonna be that great here. Let's just go ahead and get rid of it.
Janna's will be done through me.
Elephant comes in. Hi. This has been very strange. Oh, no thank you. Get these dum-dums out of here while we got a chance. He could follow up with another Poro, but that's a very good shutdown on his mana for the turn.
Should have let words solve this.
Alright, we're getting close.
Some thinks I'm all sparkle, huh? Well,
Ooh,
maybe.
and picking up Disintegrates. That's a monster of a Seraphine hit with this deck. We don't have our Broadmains running around right now, and so having a potential answer to a Saurion next turn or something is pretty cool. Also an elemental spell in terms of our Wizened Helmsman. It's not like the most awesome Helmsman to pick up a Divine Draft and Disintegrate, but if that's what it takes to not lose the game, then sure. Alright, we'll just pass here, though. I am going to want to cast Eye of the Storm if we can. But we're not going to be able to. Well, we can just block the Tritail. Just pass. There's the... Oh, shit. Wow. I was like, there's no way he's never not passing, and then he just passes. We'll take it. We just want to go big. He's still quite a few turns away from playing Warden of the Tribes, but... Alright, we'll take the Challenger. I just... I kind of want to keep this ability doubler hanging out. Especially as, like, if we're going to play the Helmsman next turn and then double up on Divine Drafts. Have we played a second Elemental this game? It's just been Divine Draft up to this point. We were hoping to get the draw for Eye of the Storm next turn, but he passed a little bit too fast on us. Yeah, here's the way to tell you. You just pull up High Note, right? If you played 6 other new spells this game, we've played 1. Whoops. Alright, what you got going on, friend? Probably needs another square, right? Guy in the stall next door is like, yo, you'll need another one. finger broke through. I got poo on my finger. You gotta give me another square. Happens to the best of them.
Disown your ill intent.
I'm gonna do this. We'll see what happens. I don't think he ever blocks the Maryam, and I think there is a good chance that he's just not here anymore. He's dealing with Pooh Finger in the stall next door. But if he does decide to make a big block with his Tri-Tail and we get to Mystic Shot, that's gonna feel like a win. And you know, realistically on this next turn, if we don't play the Helmsman, we're still in pretty decent shape. Right, if we're in a space to draw 4 off of the Eye of the Storm and then kill some units with Mystic Shot, that's fine. But like, as well as this game seems to be going, it is worth noting that we will just die to Warden of the Tribes. And so we do have to take a little bit of note of these overwhelm units, right? We can fight through these little dum-dums that can't overwhelm. But if he does get to come in and drop Warden, it'll definitely just beat us. Alright, he does not appear to be here. We'll cast some spells, I guess. It is interesting with Burblefish in this deck. There's only I think there's only 3 hits that you can get. You can hit the Galesong Flock, the elemental spell. You can hit the tech thing. It spends all of your mana and makes an XX unit. And then you can also hit Tellstones. Piltover and Tellstones at 1 mana. It's like a very tight-knit collection of cards that you're usually pretty happy to hit. The 1-drop isn't that spectacular late game typically, but the Tellstones and the big unit can be quite useful. All right, well, this is going to be our last one for the day. I got to prepare a little bit more for the Champion Draft Series after this, and so got to cut the video a game or 2 short. This will probably be a 30-minute game anyways, so not a big deal there anyways. But things are kicking off right. We got all the synergies, huh? We got the bird, elemental for the elementals, a spell for the wibbly burblefish. It's happening. I'm curious, like, how much we want to hang on to this Lord Broadmane. He probably just get rid of the Divine Whirlwind here.
Janna, I answer.
It's a little bit expensive, and again, I don't want to be in this space to where
Shall not prosper.
we get to turn 6 and we're like, oh fuck, I don't have any expensive plays. Like, you really need a 6-drop on turn 6.
You need humbling.
Interesting no block. Is he gonna have a combat trick to go along with it, or does he just really value
Some thinks I'm all sparkle, huh? Well, maybe.
having that +1/+1? This Snow Dog attack into Seraphine is not good. Got all the dogs, huh? So I don't think this is going to go well too frequently. I think we'll end up getting one of these, but it's much better to me to come in and cast these removal spells before combat. So as he comes in and casts Sky Splitters onto his Snow Dogs, he's not actually getting that damage dealt to us, right? That's always one of the awkward moments, and your opponent's sending in their big attack, and you try and kill the unit with a burn spell, and they drop a +2/+2 on it or something. It gets to not only protect the unit but deal the extra damage in combat. That's the thing I'm kind of hoping to prevent here. So now we get to be like, oh, okay, well, your Snow Dog has been boosted. I would like to block that.
Away with you.
Seal and Steel. How excited are you all when Seal and Steel got boosted in the variety patch? Yeah, no one was excited for that, huh?
Shoot!
Let's see how this goes. I'm curious if we can't just get a huge annihilator of a rocket barrage this turn. I mean, he does have like +3/+3 in some degree to units on top of his deck, so there's a real chance he just plays a giant unit that we can't answer, but this is good enough. Ideally kill 2 dogs, and then we can maybe answer Gnar with Broadmane next turn. Thinking about protecting the dogs, huh? It says do's, I do's it. You gotta burn the sky splitter, huh? There's this guy pooping too. Get another. We got another pooper on the day. Giving squares to his neighbors. Maybe this is the square neater. That's a skill right there, though. If you're able to play Runeterra and wipe at the same time. Props, dude. Props. Alright, he's here. Gotta do a quick elemental check again. We played Gale Song Call. Has that been it? No, we played a Howling Gale, so we do at least have a variety of spells that we can pick up with the Helmsman this game.
My axe is ready.
Oh shit, that's a Darius. I mean, I'm still leaning towards just playing Broadmane. We'll take a 7 hit off of Darius, and then
We are all seeking an end to war, friends.
well, we won't even take the 7 hit, right? We're just going to block him with Seraphine, and then next turn we can Elephant and get out in front of this. Shouldn't be any answers to take this down, right? If he's the Darius Gnar typically doesn't play strike cards, right? Doesn't play the Reputation Strike. It does. I don't think there's anything here. The options are slipping my brain. I can't remember if things like Brutal Skirmish are still in the format or if we're just dealing with Whirling Deaths at this point.
Sorry, Papa.
Excellent. Elephant's gonna be good here. Get the 2 spells for the Burblefish as well. It's nice little sets of synergies. Pooping again. All right, you're a little too slow here, Ascalia. So as far as this goes, probably just do we want the stats? Maybe Deathless is okay here. Just to help ensure we have a blocker. Like, if this game continues on, we're gonna be fine.
My mind is a vast library abounding in truth.
I thought we had another burn spell in here. I mean, the Gale Sound Call is not the worst. We can even, like, if we realistically want to, we can just not play it this turn. It's not like we're losing out on a ton of mana keeping this thing in hand. Should probably go ahead and play it, but not a requirement. This just never matters, right? There's not a way for him to get out of it. There's some kind of world where he tries to entomb our Lord Broadmane, but he would have been 1 mana short.
Let us teach one another.
We'll see if he takes the block. This is a little dangerous, right? If we're worried about him having Sky Splitters earlier, then it is a bit of a problem here. Probably just shouldn't have attacked with the Helmsman. Like he just it's very easy for that attack to go wrong, right? If he has a combat trick, we would much rather be protected on the way back, right? I would rather block something now and him have a combat trick as opposed to him having it when we attack him, right? So I would rather prevent 5 damage to us right now than deal 5 damage to him.
I'm here in Janna's name.
So let's see, we might be dead. He's got 5 mana for a decisive maneuver, so we gotta come in and block everything with the most stats that we can. It's gonna look like here, 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 and then down this way.
Wickedness shall not prosper.
So we at least get to still kill off 3 units. He's going to probably hit, say, like... Escalia would be the most damage that he could hit. That's like +6 and then +6 for 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. Maths are tough. Maths are tough. Can't get mad at anybody for messing up the math problem, you know? But alright, we should be in good shape now. He can most certainly have answers to double Burblefish, but it's a little bit more challenging to do. God, we didn't pick up a spell, though. That kind of sucks. Well, we can do it this way, right? We can... Let's do this without messing it up. Let's do it without messing it up. We get the spell in hand, and then we can cast the spell if need be. But it's 6 damage from the first Burblefish. The second one here, no need for Challenger. Might as well pick up the heal. That's enough. GG. Well played. Pull this up. Talk about it a little bit more. And so, yeah, those games, it was not a very impressive showing for the deck today. And it's one of those things that I've really kind of struggled with in the sense that, you know, do you want this deck to just be good against aggro? Or if that's not your plan, then what's your plan actually going to be? Because it's like, as I go through the expensive cards, it's like, you know, it would be nice if there was a way to give yourself like a small edge against some of the slower matchups of the day. But it's just like playing Elder Dragon doesn't really cut it, right? I don't feel like you're ever really in the space to where Elder Dragon gets to attack and connect for damage. And so, like, that's been one of the things I kind of think with this deck is, you know, the Seraphines aren't super important. We can just include an additional copy of Elder Dragon. And then with Elder Dragon, as these games progress and don't go well, then we have a touch of an answer at the top end. But at the end of the day, like the vast majority of the games are won either through just like a mountain of card advantage to where you stick a Sunken Temple and it doesn't get removed, or you play 2 Wizened Helmsmen, or it wins through Burblefish. And like, how do you get to best like support that kind of thing? The Elder Dragon isn't it. And so I don't quite have the answer for this. You know, as you play against Mordekaiser, you don't really want Divine Drafts. As you play against Gwen Zed, you don't really want Elder Dragons. And so I feel like if you're taking a deck like this to the ladder, you just have to kind of pick a path and go with it. And I would say at the end of the day, you're going to have much more success beating up on aggro and doing well enough against mid-range than you are going to be going the other way, trying to be good against control, right? So if you want to find one good card against a control deck to include, then you might want to make that swap just to have your little bit of a trump card. But again, like going through the expensives, I haven't been really impressed. And it's like, if I do want to find an impressive expensive card, it's always just like Jace's friend, Jace's boat, whatever his, Captain Farron or Captain Pharos. Whatever, Pharaoh's not it's a Pharaoh's guy, but nonetheless, and that's just doesn't play well with the Elder Dragon theme. And so, you know, I can see some interesting things with this. I think it's probably worth circling back to if there's more elemental spells printed, or maybe there's better elemental cards in Eternal. And this is a place to where you can say, okay, well, I'm going to maybe play in Bilgewater, right? You can play Bilgewater elementals and still get access to Escalia and the Helmsman, or you can look to move into other factions that have elementals. It's just, if you move into Freylord, you might as well just play the good Freylord cards, and they tend to play Escalia, but the Helmsman doesn't work there, so you're not playing elementals. But nonetheless, it's kind of an interesting idea. It's nice to have the damage-based removal tied in with the Broadmane, but then also have additional combos within the deck. The Escalia tying in with the Elementals, the Helmsman working with the damage-based spells that also tie back into your Broadmane. There are a nice collection of synergies that you can do here. I just don't think this is probably the best thing that you can be doing with the Elder Dragon. This strikes me as being more of a bad Janna deck than a good Elder Dragon deck. So I think you can just do much better with Sunken Temple, and you probably just play Nyla Janna and be off to the races if you're playing a Sunken Temple deck. But this one doesn't really strike me as being that good. So hope you stuck around for the recap to hit that note. Nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. This is Bustin' We. Thank you for being here.